Hi, Amber. It's so nice to see you again.
Hi.
How has your week been?
It's been a little stressful. I've felt a lot of anxiety this week. I've had a lot of situations that have made me feel very anxious.
I understand. Feeling anxious. What kind of situations? What was the worst situation that you encountered this week?
I think the worst situation that I dealt with this week was I was at work the other day and I was trying to get my paperwork in order for a really big meeting, and because the meeting was so important, I had my boss look over it for me before the meeting just to make sure. And in hindsight, it didn't seem like a very big deal, but he just told me that a couple of the things that I put were not very good. And he gave me some tips to make them better, but I don't know. I was so upset because I wanted it to be perfect for him. And so I felt very um, anxious, and I've just been kind of beating myself up that I didn't look perfect for my boss.
I understand that. And I think it's wonderful that you did want him to look over it. And you probably felt a sense of pride. So you probably were proud of what you were about to present and then got shot down and a little.
Yeah. It's like I worked very hard, and I felt confident going into it. So then to get some critiques, even though it wasn't too they weren't very bad critiques, it just I was so confident that it was going to be perfect. And then when it wasn't, um I've been very hard on myself about that.
Yes, and I can understand that when you put your heart into something. That is understandable, and this sort of goes into our homework that we. Well, first of all, we'll do a little review. So, in your session last time when you we came in, we went over the intake form and we went over that we're going to use CBT because you had a lot
Mhm.
of negative, some distorted, unhelpful thoughts. So we that's the best approach to go with in technique. And in CBT, there's three components. There's the thoughts, the emotions, and the behaviors, and they all
Mhm.
are interconnected. Situations in our life cause us to have these automatic thoughts, which maybe sometimes they're not helpful or healthy ones, and then those lead to negative emotions um, and behaviors. So just to refresh your memory, also from the CBT method, is it helps us to gain insights into patterns of thinking and behaving and identifying some cognitive distortions, which is what we're going to do today. And we're going to work through these complex emotions and hopefully do a little reframing that's going to help you to come up with some helpful motivational thoughts that won't drag you down so much. We also set some goals in our last session using the SMART criteria. And your goal that we set, we collaborated together, was I will reduce negative self defeating thoughts by 50% by doing journaling techniques, mindful exercises, and additional CBT methods within 3 months. So we wanted to use that SMART criteria because it is specific, which your goal was, and it was measurable. And the A is achievable because definitely I think you'll be able to achieve at 100% realistic. And then the time bound, which it gave us the 3 month time bound. So you had homework also. We filled in a lot of things last week, and
Yes.
it was a thought record. And I also did just part of a thought record up here on the chalkboard, and you were just to come up with situations throughout the week that um, triggered distressing emotions and thoughts.
Mhm.
And you would only fill in the first three columns. And so then when we have these distressing emotions, we have an automatic thought that goes with it. And hopefully our automatic thoughts will start being positive or at least balanced ones. They don't always have to be positive. Um, and then the emotions or the mood that was associated with that event. So let's just sort of, why don't you read to me a few of your, um, how many did you get? Did you have, how many situations did you record on your thought record?
Um, I had about 6 is
That's
what
good.
I
That is
wrote down.
wonderful. Way to go. So let's just do like your top two. Why don't you
Okay.
pick two of them today that we'll just read through? I think you were telling us one right at the beginning. Uh,
Yes, I did write that one down. So I had that that my boss criticized my work.
okay. And what's the other situation that happened this week?
Another thing that happened, and it was a couple days later, so I was still, I'm still kind of feeling insecure about my interaction with my boss. Um, I sent my husband a text message. I was trying to figure out what time he was going to come home because he had talked about going to the store. So I was thinking of some questions in my mind of like, is he still going to the store? If so, I thought of a couple more things I might want him to grab for me. And I also want to know what time he's going to be home because that's something that just kind of gives me anxiety is um, not knowing when he's going to be home. So I sent him a text message and I just said, hey, honey, I was wondering if you were still going to the store and about what time you think you'd be home. And he never responded. And so when he just showed up at home, um, you know, a while later, I just felt very insecure and anxious that I hadn't heard from him.
Yes, I can understand. And you were also having those other negative feelings already from what happened at work. And so
Yeah.
layering on top of another layer. I understand that. Uh,
Yeah.
what and I love how you said how you felt anxious and what were your thoughts when you texted him and he did not respond to you? What was your automatic thought that you went to?
My first thought was that he was angry with me about something, that he didn't want to talk to me. Maybe I started thinking about like this morning, the morning before we went to work, did I say something that may have thrown him off or, you know, um did maybe I should have checked in on him throughout the day. I think he said he had a really important meeting that day. Maybe he was expecting me to check in on him. Another part of me thought that maybe he like thought I was kind of nagging him for being kind of controlling when are you coming home. So my initial thought was that he was like angry with me, whether for something that happened earlier or that he was angry at me for even texting him at all.
Yes, I understand that. And so you were very concerned about that. Let's go to let's go back to the first event that started your feelings in the first place. When you were at work and you showed your boss about your presentation and he started to criticize it. I'm going to fill this one out as we go along because and show you how to fill out the rest of the thought record. So your boss criticized your work is the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great one to start with because I want to show you how your emotions can also just build, the negativity throughout the day, and it makes, unfortunately, our automatic thoughts even more dysfunctional when that happens. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Boss criticized work, and what was your right when he did that? What thoughts went through your mind? And sometimes we have crazy thoughts. Just what was the first thing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my first thought was, oh, of course you screwed this up. Amber, you're always screwing up. You know,
Yes,
you never do anything right at work.
and never do anything right. Okay. And how when we put so in thought chart or in the thought records, we put like the percentages we rate them on how much we believe these thoughts at the time. So
Hmm.
how much did you believe in this always screwing up?
I wrote down 80%.
Okay,
It
so
was very strong, this
yes.
feeling.
And then what about never doing anything right?
I wrote down 50%.
Okay, so then we have moods, emotions, feelings that go with these thoughts. And what were those moods or those feelings you had?
Um, I felt a lot of shame. Again, because I was really proud of the work at first, and then when I got the criticism, I felt shame that I even thought it was good in the first place, and that also just made me feel very sad.
Okay. And in this one, this is intensity when we rate this. What was your intensity for shame? What would you rate that?
I had to think about this one. I wrote down 85%.
Okay. And then that's pretty high, yeah. And what about sad? Your sadness.
For sad, I wrote 70%. I actually I ended up crying on the drive home thinking about it because
Well,
I
I'm
just
so
couldn't.
sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, and yes, and then with the addedness of not being able to get a hold of your husband, that yeah,
Hmm.
adds to it. I understand. So what
Definitely.
we're gonna do though is we're gonna take these automatic thoughts and we're gonna identify what we call the hot thought. And that is the one that just basically has the most intensity for you. And which one was that?
Um, that I'm always screwing up.
Okay, so we're gonna use this and we're gonna try to find some supporting evidence and then evidence against it. Now, this is stuff that is factual. So always, I'm just gonna put always screw up to make it abbreviated. So supporting evidence that you're always screwing up. What, tell me something that would support that you're always screwing up, that you thought this.
Um, that when he looked at the work, he mentioned that I had forgot some important details.
Okay. Forgot details. Can you think of something else?
Um, I guess it was kind of similar, but again, in preparing for this big meeting, we were discussing a lot of things, and some of my numbers were inaccurate because I kind of rushed through it again because I wanted to make sure I had time for him to look over it. But in doing that, um, my numbers ended up being wrong.
Rushed, and you could put inaccurate numbers. Now, I should have told you this at the beginning. This is called putting your thoughts on trial. So we're
Mhm.
sort of acting like attorneys here, and we're prosecuting and hold on, inaccurate details. Okay, so now let's go to the other side and let's think of evidence for always screwing up. What? Oh wait, this is sorry, opposite. Against. So now we're going to do against. Now tell me ways that you know that are factual that is against you always screwing up.
Um, the first thing I wrote was that I do get things right more than I get them wrong.
That's that is wonderful. Yes, get
Yeah.
things right more often. Okay, can you think of something else?
Another thing I wrote is that I'm usually very careful. Again, I tend to be a perfectionist, so when it comes to my work, I'm usually very careful
Let's
about what I do.
let's see if we can think of another one.
Another thing I wrote was that I apologized to the people that my mistake impacted. Because again, I had more than just my boss relying on me for this. So I had to go back and apologize for, um, the mistakes. And I did make sure that I went and did that.
And did was there anything horrible or any catastrophe that happened because of your mistake?
No, my boss just asked me to fix it, and I did. It was really, thinking about it a few days later, it really was not a very big deal at all.
I love that. I love that you were able to reflect on that a few days. So now, if we look at our what do we call that? The hot the hot thought. We obviously have more evidence against your automatic thought of always screwing up. Now, of course, let's just pretend if there happened to have been more evidence in the support of it, make a plan to fix that. Like,
Hmm.
be more careful and to have someone check over your work. But that's not the case here. You obviously usually always are very careful, have accurate work, So now we need to come up with, these were these two categories, and I'm showing this to you because this week you're going to do you're going to be doing this on your own for your other situations in your life that happen.
Mhm.
But now we want to come up with a balanced thought because the whole thing here is for us to have a more balanced, rational view. And over time, with practice, it will hopefully come automatically, and you'll stop believing and thinking of these negative thoughts. So, what could we come up with for a balanced thought with our hot thought here?
Um, let's see. Although um, I am human, so I do make mistakes sometimes. Um, but in general, I am a very responsible person.
I love that. That's definitely a balanced, great thought.
Hmm.
Sometimes I am a responsible person.
Because
Okay.
it is very hard. A lot of times I find myself in this situation where it's not every day. It doesn't happen very often, but yeah, when I do make a mistake, it feels very um kind of all consuming. That one mistake and suddenly I mess up everything. So um, trying to remember that I am human and that that is going to happen, but that doesn't mean that I'm a terrible person. In fact, my boss has even told me that I'm very responsible. So trying to remember that I can do both. I can make mistakes and still be considered a responsible person.
Wonderful self-reflection. And you know what? That is the kind of thing that when you were reflecting back, to write that down and to journal that in your journal. Um, because and journaling is, we talked about that in our last session about um,
Mhm.
using the chart in our journal, and that journal is going to be your best friend through all of the therapy sessions, because it'll be wonderful to see your growth. And that's one way of seeing your growth is how you used to think about things, and then a month or two later, how you are and how you think of things now. So now knowing this, what would you rate now your new thought? How would you rate that? The intensity of your new thought, your mood. Actually, I guess your mood and your feelings.
Mhm. As far as
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but we're taking that shame and the sadness that you felt, and we're putting, like, how do you feel that shame and sadness now?
okay. Um, so as far as shame, again, trying to remember my balanced thought, I would think I would put shame at I'd say 20%.
Okay. What about the sadness?
Sadness, I think I'd probably give it about a 15%.
One, see, and that right there, that proves that you did wonderful working your way through that. So, do you have any questions on how to come up with a balanced thought?
No, I don't think so. I think this was very helpful. Again, just trying to remember like this one that we can make mistakes, we can have something bad happen, but it doesn't mean that everything is bad.
That's right. And of course, when we already are feeling bad and not letting those intrusive thoughts come in that are not balanced, yes, they can carry over then to our family and to other aspects of our life during the day. And it can also cause like a domino effect. I want you to also think, if you're ever having trouble coming up with a balanced thought, I want you to think of some questions like, if you were talking to your best friend and they were being so hard on themselves, what would you say to your best friend? You're not going to say, yeah, you loser, you should have, so think about those kind of things. Because if you get stuck, um, sometimes if you're really stuck on trying to come up with a balanced thought, and of course, remember, always doing the hot thought helps, but even coming up with the supporting evidence, the evidence against your hot thought, you can always just sit back and take some deep breaths and then go back to it just to help you think better. That's always
Mhm.
something to do. So your homework for this week is going to be to continue adding on to your thought, sorry, I can't even think, but your little thought record, journaling your situations, but I want you to fill out the rest of it for your situations for this previous week. And
Okay.
I want to always leave. So do you have any um, questions about that or about your homework?
Um, yeah, so okay, so we have the situation and then we have the
Oh,
6 sections. You're wanting me to now try to fill out all 6 by myself?
yes, for the next
Okay.
week, and then fill out the other three that for your other events that you did last week. So as
Okay.
the some weeks, you might have more than others. So this is running out of time. Okay. So just one last thing I want to do. I always want to end it on a positive note so you're feeling good. We're going to shift your mood to a more relaxed, positive state before you leave. So I just want you to get comfortable in your chair. And I want
Okay.
you to sit back,
Mhm.
close your eyes, place your hands to your side with your palms up. And I want you to imagine a place where you feel safe, you feel happy. It might be a place where you have fond memories, or it could be a place that you've always dreamed of going.
Okay.
Open your eyes, and I want you just to describe right now with just some of your senses. I don't want you to tell me what the place is, just describe what you smell and what you see.
Um, I'm seeing um like I have a favorite blanket in my house. So I'm seeing that blanket there and the couch and lots of bright colors from um, my daughter's toys and I'm
Yeah,
smelling just the typical like scent of my house, maybe my favorite candle that I'll have lit.
I love that. I love it. We're going to go back to that image at a later session. You did great work today, and I'm so proud of how well you did your homework and just really had some great in-depth thinking. So great job.
Thank you. I feel a lot better.
I'm so glad. I cannot wait to see you next week.
And same here. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.